everybody to the Thursday, May 2nd, 2024 Independent Citizens Referendum Oversight Committee. And as the new board chair, I'd like to let everybody know that I actually know what ICROC means now on the fly without ever looking at a piece of paper. It took 2 meetings to get there, but I'm there. I think our agenda says we start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so let's start. Let's everyone stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I would like to welcome all the members of the board and our guests, Superintendent Dr. Diane Gullett, Ms. Nancy Thrower, Chair of the School Board, and all other board members and district personnel that are with us today. Thank you very much for being here. And for that, next, Ms. Diana Williams, would you please call the roll?
Jane Morley.
Present.
Melanie Leister.
Present.
Floyd Magwood.
Present.
Kenneth Osley.
Present.
Marianne Collins.
Present.
Sarah Werkheiser. Richard Howard.
Present.
Julie Roken.
She's on the phone.
Jennifer Hatchett.
All right, excellent. Next is the acceptance of the minutes from the last meeting, though I do believe, do we have a small adjustment to them?
Yes, we do. I missed Neil McDonald as an attendant, so if we can make that change and
Okay, so I will,
anything else.
yeah. Is there any other changes or to the minutes? If not, I would accept a motion to accept the minutes with that one change noted.
So move.
Second. There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, next on our agenda is the district overview by our superintendent, Dr. Diane Gullett.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. It's a very busy time for all of us, as you know, in the school district, and we're really excited for our students and the work and the learning that they're demonstrating every day. So last time I left with something in my mind, and I said, I need to come back and share some numbers with you. I'm very passionate about data, and as we work to continue to strive for our students being successful, our vision, as you know, is helping every student succeed. Outcomes are how we measure how successful we are. So as it pertains to the referendum, I'm bringing some numbers and some outcomes to you today. And this is going to be a broad sweep. There are certain categories I'm focusing on more than others because you're going to hear some presentations this afternoon with some additional outcomes. So thought you might be interested in some of these. These are some celebrations for us. Because of the referendum, over 700 students from 25 elementary schools participated in the 10th annual Charlie Dixon Festival on March 7th. Some of you think we're there, and so when we have 700 students participating and showing their talent, that's something to celebrate. 97 students from 19 elementary schools participated in the 2024 Elementary Honor Choir at the Riley Arts Center in a wonderful venue. 119 Marion County students represented our schools in the District 19, representing 3 different counties in all district bands. And we had so many accolades there. We had 32 students ranking in high levels of performance. High school jazz bands ranked number 1 and 2. And so we're really, really proud of their efforts. 31 schools, that's all of our elementary schools plus Hillcrest School, have a full-time certified library media specialist on their site each and every day. And again, I'm a big believer that our library media center is the heartbeat of the school and engages learning for all students. I just hosted the Superintendent's Art Show at the beautiful Appleton Museum of Art, and we celebrated 33 elementary school pieces, 10 middle school pieces, and 13 high school pieces. And I hope you watch my weekly video, because I'm going to do a little plug that one's coming out tomorrow is going to be an interview that I had with one of our amazingly talented students right here in Marion County Public Schools. So please watch that tomorrow when it comes out. The Young and Art exhibition was on display at the Appleton also, and we were able to showcase 330 pieces of student artwork representing kindergarten through 12th graders. We also had 22 certified physical education teachers, 26 technicians with 150 minutes of high-quality physical education. And that serves 21,000 students because of the referendum dollars to make sure that we're meeting their needs. And I'm going to share a piece about our CTE component, and again, you're going to hear more tonight. But because of the equine program that we put in place at North Marion High School, one of our students was just announced as the Florida FFA state farmer finalist for the state level and a vice presidential candidate for Florida FFA. And thanks to those programs we're putting in place, they're not only providing much needed curriculum and pathways, but also providing leadership. And I think that's something we don't talk enough about. And that's, again, a life skill, a job skill. And so we're incredibly passionate about the work that we're doing to help serve our students every day, and incredibly grateful to our community for supporting. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but all of the dollars going to support our students and finding their voice and finding their path. So I really thank you all for your service and for the support of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Gullett. Next is review of our current budget, income and expenditures, details, school funding referendum with CFO Teresa Boston Ellis.
Good afternoon. Along with me, there's about 7 other folks that will be presenting tonight, and these are what I call the subject area experts, and you'll find that on slide 1. But let's get started. This is our third quarter review of the expenditures as well as the programs that are funded by the referendum. Just as a review, this is based on a 1 mil ad valorem property tax. This was approved on November 8th, 2022 for 4 additional years. So the effective date is July 1, 2023, and it goes through June 30, 2027. This is a 4-year referendum, and this has been our second renewal. The revised budget for the current year is $33.4 million, and the revised budget for expenditures is $38.7 million. What we have received to date, and as a reminder, the taxes that are associated with this referendum start coming in November, and it goes through June of that fiscal year. So we've received to date $30.3 billion, and that's about 90% of what we have budgeted. As far as expenditures, we have spent to date about $24.2 million, and that represents about 62% of the budgeted expenditures. This is just a pictorial look at our budgeted expenditures. As you can see, the majority of the funds are in the category of class size, and we will go through each one of these in detail. This is a view of actual expenditures from previous years as well as the current year. And our actual expenditures to date for the current fiscal year is $24.2 million. And this also, again, provides prior year's actual expenditures. We began the fiscal year with a fund balance of $12.7 million. You may recall that any funds that are left over from a prior year are restricted and they belong to the referendum for the next year. So we ended up with a fund balance of $12.7 million. Our budgeted revenue at $33.4 million, and our budgeted expenditures at $38.6 million. So we are projecting to end the year with a budgeted fund balance of $7.5 million. And as I always share with you, this is important because the tax proceeds don't start coming in until November. So we live off the fund balance from July to when we begin to receive the proceeds for the referendum. What we will do a little bit different tonight is I will focus in on the general fund expenditures for referendum for the district only. And then I will share with you these dollars that are associated with the charter schools. But first, we'll go through the general fund referendum as it excludes the charter schools, so you can see what is going on in the Marion County School District. Always keeping our mind and our eyes on who is benefiting from these funds that we are so grateful for. And these are the children of Marion County Public Schools. So the first category, class size reduction, funds 157 teachers and 154 paraprofessionals, that represents 63.36% of the budget, and that is salary and benefits only, and that is through the month of March.
I do have a question. The 157 teachers that are funded through the referendum, how is that determined compared to the general school district budget? How is that number?
If I'm understanding the question correctly, we look at the number of teachers who were in the system under the class size from the prior year. We look at the general fund, staffing from the prior year, and if there are any new or additional teachers based on ratios or new schools, then those are added to the class size for the referendum. So it's additional staff. Next, we will have Ms. Charity Corneliuson, who is our coordinator of physical education.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for having me here. As always, I'm excited to share with the community just a few highlights from what our elementary physical education programs are doing around the county. As you know, the referendum makes it possible to fully staff all of our schools with certified PE professionals that provide a very important component to a well-rounded education. Dr. Gullett mentioned earlier, it's roughly 21,000 students in grades K through 5 that are impacted by these funds daily. Our physical education teachers not only provide standards-based instruction daily, they serve as ambassadors of health to the faculty and staff on their campuses and at parent events throughout the year. You'll notice in some of these photos, specifically the one on the bottom right, the bottom left, and then directly above that one where their cardio drums are. Those are most recent photos from the Family Focus event that was held at Denellen High School a few weeks ago. Down in the bottom center, you'll notice that's Bellevue Santos Elementary, and those are the physical education teachers, the one in the direct center and the one with the dice in the back. They are both physical education teachers there at Bellevue Santos. This was an event that they ran after hours just to motivate staff and faculty to promote positive fitness and health within the staff. It was called a Roll in the New Year Challenge. You may have seen it on social media. I blow it up all the time. Many schools also take advantage of events that provide opportunities for students to compete against other schools in our area. Most recently, the elementary track meet. Just before spring break at Forest High School, elementary athletes from 12 Marion County schools and student volunteers from Vanguard's Future Teacher Academy, as well as Forest High School, enjoyed a day of fitness and fun with their families before leaving before spring break. The dedication of our physical educators to promoting sportsmanship and teamwork was on display as our schools competed in this exciting event. Don't really see a picture of the stands there, but it was a lot of fun, and it always is. We always do it the last day before spring break, and in the stands behind all the students, there's probably about 300 parents in attendance. In addition to, we had 12 elementary schools participate this year with roughly 24, 25 students per team. And it really gives those elementary students an opportunity to get a taste of what an actual meet would look like. We run it with a scoring company and everything, so it's run just like a middle school or high school meet would be run. Last but not least, I want to share with you a little hometown hero, in my eyes anyway. Our physical educators work hard every day to foster a love of movement and desire to build healthy bodies for a lifetime. One example of this dedication to our community is Marion County's own Adrian Hope. Mr. Hope is Marion County born and raised and was a standout football player at Vanguard High School and Furman University and an all-Southern Conference athlete. He has returned to Marion County Public Schools and is teaching in the very elementary school where it all began. The support of this referendum makes this and so much more possible for our MCPS learners. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
The photos that we're looking at, are these students representing just one school, or it's a combination of schools?
No, ma'am. It's actually all over. For example, this last page right here, that's Harborview Elementary. If you look on the previous one, that was from the track meet, so you'll see several students and coaches from different schools. And then on the first page, see if I can help you out, top left, that's Margarita Posada, that's Sunrise Elementary. Stanton Weirsdale is on the top right, and I feel like that's Sunrise in the middle. I met all the schools multiple times throughout the week, and I tried to collect as many various examples of different schools as possible.
Thank you.
No problem.
So let's talk about what all of these programs cost. For the physical education, we have 22 PE teachers and 22 PE technicians. Again, you will hear me say often that we're about where we need to be based on this time of year. So we've spent about 62.89% of a budget of $2.8 million. In addition to the cost of the teachers and the PE techs, as well as the benefits, this referendum also funds about $2 per student for each individual schools. For the things that were spent from physical education include things like subscriptions, balls, also any supplies or materials that the programs may require. Next, Catherine Audie, who is our coordinator of CTE, will discuss the vocational programs.
Good afternoon. As she said, my name is Catherine Audie. I'm the coordinator for our vocational and CTE programs. In Marion County, we're fortunate to have CTE programs at all of our high schools and middle schools. We have over 40 different CTE pathways that students can take, with over 14,000 students enrolled in those programs. This year, through the referendum funds, we were able to complete a couple of large updates in some of our programs that really needed it. One of them pictured here is the Denellen High School Welding Lab. Students were actually having to weld outside due to a lot of ventilation issues. So thanks to referendum, we were able to purchase self-ventilating welding machines, and they were just completed installations with our facilities department. So you can see the students here in front of the new welding labs. We were also able to do a full lab refresh in one of our digital video programs. At Lake Weir High School, we were able to install all new updated computers and purchase some equipment and cameras for their studios, So those are the pictures there on the left. We were also able to provide Westport High School agriculture program with a new livestock trailer. This program recently expanded to 2 teachers, which was a wonderful thing we were able to do for them. And thanks to referendum, we've been able to keep that program and all their equipment up to date. Students here are weighing in their steers at the Southeastern Youth Fair. And now I'm very excited to share, we recently had students travel to both the State Health Occupations, the HOSA competition, as well as the State Skills USA competition. At the HOSA competition, we had 21 students that qualified to attend the international competition, which will take place this summer in Texas. And at the Skills USA competition, we had 4 students that qualified for the national event this summer in Atlanta. And thanks to referendum, we were able to pay for their transportation to those competitions that they just went to. Our vocational programs continue to grow every year, and having referendum gives us the opportunity to ensure these programs are state-of-the-art and that our students are prepared for their futures. Thanks.
The referendum supports 18 vocational teachers, as well as she mentioned, trip tickets for fuel and field trips, subscriptions, books, consumables, and I think she also mentioned the trailer and also a shed. This budget is $2.3 million, and again, it funds 18 vocational teachers and the needed supplies. Next, we will go on to library and media. This will be discussed by Kelly Brower, who is our coordinator of instructional materials, special programs, and media services.
Good afternoon. So I am Kelly Brower. I'm coordinator of instructional materials, which that part of my job is to ensure that every student has every textbook that they need on the first day of school. And also I oversee all textbook adoptions. In addition, I supervise all the media centers. So currently we have 50. Soon we'll have 52, as in January we'll start planning for our 2 new schools. So thank you for having me here today to share the great things that are happening in our media centers at each of our schools. Our media centers play such a critical role in building a strong reading culture in our schools. Our media specialists work tirelessly to ensure that the library collections are kept current and that there are titles to support student research, as well as maintain a collection of titles that students wish to read for pleasure. Year to date, our students have checked out over 500,000 titles. Our media specialists also support BeanStack, which is a program that's used throughout the district to support the school community reading culture. The program allows us to keep growing our students' love of reading. Our media specialists maintain accurate records. They host special events at the Media Center, which is what you see happening in this collage of pictures. They also ensure that all of our students in K through 5 get their internet safety. So the benefits associated with a good library programs are strongest for the most vulnerable and at-risk learners. But a growing body of research known as the School Library Impact Studies has consistently shown positive correlations between high-quality library programs and student achievement. So here we see a collage of some of our media centers, and I just want to highlight that some of the spaces found in our media centers are really vibrant. They use a lot of flexible seating, we like to call it, where the students can find a nice cozy place to either do some research or read their book or work on something that their teacher has asked them to work on. And our media specialists are always creating a literacy-rich environment. So I want to say thank you for these referendum dollars, because we are able to have a certified media specialist at each of our school sites, and we are extremely grateful. Thank you.
For library media, again, 16 media specialists, and this budget is about $1.4 million. And again, these students are afforded additional books, book covers, book racks, all those things that support the program. And elementary schools are allocated, again, $2 per student for each school. Now we will have fine arts, first the visual arts, and then the music. And that will be shared with us from Brooke Hutto, who is the coordinator of Fine Arts.
Good afternoon. Thank you as always for being here and for giving of your time to this committee. Every time I get to present to you, I feel like a very proud mama. I love getting to share what it is that our programs are doing, and they are doing some truly incredible things, and we are so thankful that the referendum allows us to continue to do those incredible programs. In the visual arts, our students and teachers have been working hard in their classrooms, creating projects for upcoming art shows, both district-wide in their community and on the campuses. You will see we've got some black lights that our students have been using to create blacklight art projects and clay creations from our elementary students that they've been working on. Over in the third picture from the top left, our Westport High School senior art class, part of the MECA program, they actually took over the Brick City Center for the Arts for the entire month of March as their senior project. They curated the show. They advertised for the show on social media. They did all of the setup. Every single student was required to come and bring their own piece to set up inside the brick, and they even catered their own reception. It was an incredible experience for these students, and we are so proud of them. And also thank you to the Marion Cultural Alliance for their support in allowing us to use Brick City Center for the Arts for this event. You'll also see some images from the Young in Art show that Dr. Gullett spoke about earlier. This was held at the Appleton Museum from March 19th through April 21st. Every art teacher in our district selected 6 pieces to represent their school program, and it was on display at the Appleton during that time. In addition, on April 24th, we had our annual Superintendent's Art Show, which featured 1 student artist from each program in the district. For performing arts, over spring break, we had this incredible opportunity. The marching bands from Lake Weir High School and Forest High School actually traveled to New York City, and they marched in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. They had an incredible time. They got to take in Broadway shows and get to experience what New York City life was like, and they represented Marion County incredibly well. In February, our Winter Guard color guard programs from across the district had their performance assessments. And then to celebrate Music in Our Schools Month, we had the 10th annual Charlie Dixon Elementary Music Festival, which was held at First Baptist Church, with over 700 students from 25 schools performing on the stage. And it was a pretty incredible experience, and thank you to those of you who were able to attend that night.
I just would like to interject. That was so enjoyable, and I really do appreciate being invited. And I would love to receive invitations to other events that maybe slip under our radar a little bit. I love going and seeing the kids enjoying themselves and learning and just things outside of the classroom. So I just
make sure we include you.
Yeah, I just am open to every invitation.
Yep, and we are actually, we're at MCPS Fine Arts on Instagram. So if you would like to follow us, I post every school stuff. Anybody that sends things to me, their things end up on there. I'll post programs that are coming up, special features of different artists, different teachers, programs, special things that they have coming up at their schools, all that kind of stuff. So in our last slide, in late February, we had our 5 school dance programs. They held their 3rd annual Spring Dance Showcase, actually here in the MTI Auditorium. It featured ballet, tap, and modern dance. Our secondary Marion All-County Honor Choir had their concert at the end of March, performing with 175 middle and high school students from the choral programs across the county. This was our middle schools and high schools represented. Any school that has a choir program, they usually nominate their students, and they get to come out and they rehearse at the CF campus for 2 days prior to the performance with renowned vocal clinicians from across the state. Two of our theater programs, Horizon Academy and Westport, participated in the state thespians competition and their district thespians competition and received top recognition. Horizon Academy received 1 Critics' Choice Award for their large group musical, 23 superior and excellent ratings, and their 1 act received an excellent rating. Westport High School's group received 39 superior and excellent ratings. 3 students received top honors as best in their category, and 2 of their seniors auditioned at the state festival for scholarships, which only the top 50 applicants in the entire state of Florida are allowed to move forward to that. Their main stage show also received a superior rating, and 2 of those students were selected as all-star cast and crew. And then finally, in April, our high school all-county band held their concert at the Riley Arts Center. We had 106 students representing our 7 high schools. They were actually conducted, another hometown hero, by Mr. Steve Stevens, who currently teaches in North Carolina, but is a product of Marion County Public Schools and a Lake Weir High School alum. As you can see, our fine arts educators and students are working incredibly hard, and this referendum allows us to continue to provide our students with these incredible opportunities to shine and to showcase their amazing talents. We are looking forward to wrapping up this year with some school-based performances, school-based art shows and showcases, and to get ready to begin again in the fall. Thank you again.
Wow. So we'll go back a little and look at what we have categorized as the art program. The art program, funded by referendum, supports 0.5 of a coordinator, 16.5 art teachers, 7 paraprofessionals that support classrooms. And again, for the art program, the elementary schools receive $2 per student, which allows them to purchase consumables and some equipment, as well as paying for some dues or memberships. The other side of the fine arts is music, and again, 0.5 of a coordinator, 17.5 music teachers, and 8 paraprofessionals, which is a total of 26 staff. In addition to the staff, there is also an allocation that is provided to the secondary schools, middle and high, in addition to their general fund allocation of $121,000. We're still at 62.54% of expenditures, again, right in line where we would be at a 3/4 of the year. The salaries total about $1.1 million, and the remaining expenditures, again, support field trips, music books, and music equipment. Now I'd like to introduce you to someone who is new to the central office, Ms. Twyler Hazer. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She is a program specialist in the district.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today to go over the latest updates on the Mentor and Induction Program for the 2023-2024 cohort. Reviewing the snapshot in time, there has been an increase in the number of new novice educators hired. A novice educator is defined as anybody with less than 1 year of service in the classroom. Overall, the majority of our novice educators have stayed and made it through the program from August until April. There is a slight change in the secondary level. Some of it is due to teachers just completing the program because they were mid-year hires last year and you're only in this part of the program for a year. And some of it is due to having to move or things of that nature. Overall, we are doing very well with the program and it's being received well by our novice educators. Next slide. Oh, sorry. I'm a little nervous, sorry.
You're doing fine.
All right. The one significant adjustment in our current budgeting is the addition of 5 new mentors due to 5 hires coming on and requiring that support. That will result the payout increase in $5,500. There have been no changes in the lead allocation. A lead is a person that works on the school site to support both novice educators and mentors in developing their skills and building capacity and efficacy. The majority of these funds will be paid out at the end of the program, which is now. It is ending now in April. Thank you for your continued support in building efficacy in our new teachers.
I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I'm apologizing ahead of time.
Sorry.
What is the reasoning for waiting until the end of the program before your lead teachers and your instructional talent developers? Why do they have to go the full year before they get paid?
Currently, they offer 30 hours of support, meaning that they meet with those mentors once a week. So they have a contract, and then sometimes it will change. Mentors and leads can change. So the contracts get paid out at the end of the year. It's because the program lasts an entire year.
Okay.
So to come to completion, that's when.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and welcome aboard. Again, reiterating that the teachers, mentors, leads are paid at the end of the program. So at the end of March, there are no expenditures associated with this particular program that has a budget of $627,500. Our last program is the Safe Schools, and this discussion will be led by Mr. Dennis McFadden.
Good afternoon. And I just told the young lady that we're all nervous when we come here. So if she's not, then she's better than most of us. We're all nervous. But good afternoon, and thank you, and thanks for your willingness to be part of this oversight committee. The district has an unwavering commitment to keep our students, staff, and visitors safe. However, with every new legislative session, new mandates are placed on school districts that oftentimes does not come with additional funding. In many cases, these may appear to be small or minor requirements, but when added up over 50-plus schools for an indefinite amount of time, it can become labor-intensive and very costly. In addition to the cost of SROs, cameras, and door buzzers, other security measures have been implemented to keep our schools safe. As you can see on this picture on the left, push bars have been added to some doors to better secure areas of the campus during an emergency. This was once a standard door that has been retrofitted with the push bar hardware to enhance security inside of a school building. The next picture shows a picture of a key cylinder lock. They have been installed in the security gates with panic hardware. These key cylinder locks allow for quick and easy access to different parts of the campus by our staff and SROs when they are outside of the fenced area. Other security measures such as Knox boxes have been approved for purchase and should arrive within the next few weeks and will be installed on every campus. The Knox boxes will be installed at the main entrance, 6 feet off the ground, 2 feet to the left for consistency. These Knox boxes will give our local law enforcement and fire departments access to a school campus during an emergency. The use of Knox boxes will eliminate the need for front office staff to physically open doors for responding first responders during an emergency. Radio frequency testing was also completed district-wide. This testing determined that radio frequency levels mandated by the state is not sufficient at some of our schools. However, by partnering with county officials, we are able to use technology that allows multiple avenues for radio communications to enhance first responder communications inside of a structure. That will help us to meet or exceed the minimum radio frequency requirements. So basically, in the situation in Parkland, we've explained it before, law enforcement was inside of the school building, and every time they keyed up their radio, they got this loud sound, which means that the radio communication wasn't getting out. So laws have been passed that requires us to make sure that that radio now is able to be utilized in the event of an emergency. So we've done this testing, and we've been working with the county, and the county is doing a big, huge investment, and we are now on the 800 megahertz radio system along with other county agencies. We just got on it. And what this allows us to do when the law enforcement, first responders come on the scene, we're using 3 different types of technologies for the radio to basically grab whichever is the best technology that is going to enhance the radio capability. Wi-Fi, LTE, and there's the name for another. But once they get on the campus, the radio will automatically, without doing anything, without the officer or fire department doing anything, will automatically look for the strongest signal and use that signal to amplify their response or their communication to the comm center. As always, physical security is only part of the solution. We must all work together to find creative and cost-effective ways to keep our schools safe from internal and external threats. Again, we thank you for your commitment to student safety.
Mr. McFadden, before
Yes.
you leave, your comments at the beginning about being nervous, and all of you, you're all doing a great job. By the way, we're nervous too. We're just citizens trying to do a good job, and we don't want to screw anything up. So we're all in the same boat together. We appreciate you guys' time.
Thank you.
And I have a, oh, go ahead.
Go on.
You go ahead first.
In regards to the panic hardware and the items that you just discussed, do we have these as of now at all schools, or you're in the process of getting them into all schools?
So the panic hardware, for the most part, they were already at all of our schools, but there are some schools, the older schools that were built, and the way that the schools were designed, it was just a push door, similar to what we see back here. And that door is not able to be locked or secured. So with adding this hardware to it, it's able to be locked and secured in a manner to where you have to have a key to come in from the outside, but also from the inside, you're able to respond and get out if there's a fire or some other type of emergency other than like an active assailant.
Trying to figure out how to ask this question. So let me know if you don't understand what I'm asking. We know, thank you for doing this too, by the way. We know it's very important to keep our kids safe. As far as the different projects and installations and different things you're doing with the schools, is this like a ongoing type process with the expenses, or is there like a set checklist? Here's the things we want to do, and then we'll take care of the maintenance as we go along.
It's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
It's definitely going to always, this is something that is going to be an ongoing, reoccurring, continuous improvement, because school, you can never get it 100% right.
Right.
But what my department, what this district tries to do, and then if you go off to conferences, these vendors are like, they're like buzzers. They come out and they just want to feast on you, and they try to sell you stuff. And so each and just about every day, I'm getting emails from somebody trying to sell me stuff. I'm not about buying stuff. When we make these decisions, we're making decisions that are directly impacting and has a great effect, or the greatest effect, on school security. It's not about, we just don't want to put something in front of you that's a perception. What we put in front of you is a real situation where we have experienced something based on data, based on what we've seen, based on the unique needs of this district, or maybe an example from another district that we absolutely think is the best way to protect students, staff, and visitors. So we want to be fiscally responsible when we purchase things, not to just purchase stuff, just for, lack of a better word, just for show. We don't purchase things for show. We purchase things based on the need, or the critical need, based on what our district is facing.
Thank you. That's a great answer. The reason why I was asking that, because I was curious to see if, I know in the beginning when you started installing all of the security type products, that, it's gonna be a lot more money spent in the beginning, but I didn't know if it would stay at that level or there's a time where it kind of decreases a little bit. And I know if you see something else that may be a better something that you need to have that's gonna protect our kids, you'll go for that.
And it fluctuates because right now, it was a high demand for fences.
Yeah.
And now that we pretty much got fences on every campus, it's now just a matter of going back and adding a few layers here and there to better improve on the security of the school. So whereas we may have spent several $1 million in 1 year on fences, that cost is now not as high, but we use it to cover other areas that's needed to help improve the safety of the school.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? All right.
So what I would add is Safe Schools is an increasing cost, and it is, for the most part, unfunded mandates that are required by statutes and things that, as Mr. McFadden said, that we see that are needed in our school district. Most of the items are recurring costs, such as cameras, door buzzers. There will always be maintenance. And then we're always looking for ways to enhance, as he said, the expenditures. And the reason I said that is we started out with Safe Schools a few years ago, and it wasn't a lot of money allocated. When Dr. Gullett came, we had many discussions about where we are, where we should be, and you have seen in the last few years that Safe Schools dollars have increased based on the needs of the school. So this budget is $8.1 million. We do pay for guardians at some schools, as well as a portion of the SRO costs. There is equipment that's a purchase, and we've talked about it, the different maintenance of equipment, radios, and can't forget our Rapture system that we use for volunteers. So again, they've spent about 60% of their budget, and well on our way to meeting that budget, and there's always room to purchase additional things. We also purchase some Safe School items out of the general fund as well, and that sometimes people don't remember that. But our allocation from the Department of Education, which is based on a lot of different criterias, there is an apportion to all schools, and they look at not only the number of students, but also the crime ratio in your school district. So we're right about $3.5 million in the general fund. So you can see how the referendum does supplement the expenditures that are required for safety in our schools.
Ms. Boston Ellis, could you clarify what a guardian is?
Mr. McFadden.
Okay, I was just curious between what the difference was between a guardian and an SRO.
Yes, ma'am, great question. So the state of Florida now they require every school to have what they call a safe school officer on every campus. And the state has allowed us to meet that mandate by 4 different ways. A school resource officer, who is someone that's employed by the local sheriff or police department. A school safety officer, someone who is hired by a local school board police department. A guardian, which is someone who could be hired by the school district, and it could either be an existing employee, like an assistant principal, a counselor, a front office staff, a custodian, and they are considered guardians. And then the final, or the 4th option is to hire a security firm, like whatever security firm out there, the district could hire them to meet that mandate. But those are the 4 options. We here in Marion County has SROs on every campus that's hired by the Sheriff's Office, Ocala Police Department, and Bellevue Police Department. And in addition to those, we have paid staff who are guardians at certain schools.
What qualifies them as a guardian? Meaning, what is that, how is that different than an SRO?
So they have no law enforcement, no arrest authority. They cannot arrest. Their main, it's not their primary function because they, like I say, they're hired by the district to be whatever their role is. But as a guardian, they are required to respond to an active assailant or active threat that's on the campus. So they take off one hat, and then immediately, if something is happening, they put on that role of a guardian, which is to engage or protect the school and staff during an emergency.
Are they armed?
They are armed. They are armed but not open carry. So we can't identify who they are, but they are out there on our campuses.
Are they trained
And they are trained
by?
by the sheriff's office. The state statute requires that they go through 132, 144 hours of training that is put on by the sheriff's office, and those guardians are pretty much, they have a schedule that the sheriff's office brings them in. We, as a district, as a department, we vet each and every one of them before we assign them. It's on a volunteer basis. They come to us and tell us that they have an interest in doing it. Again, we vet them to make sure that they meet our qualifications, our standards, and then they do a complete background check at the sheriff's office. They go through that process, which is basically a hiring process. They go through the whole hiring process, background check, fingerprint, psychological exam, all of that, and then the sheriff's office take them through intensive 132, 144 hours of training, which is a lot of it is on the range shooting and qualifying.
How many guardians do we have, if I may ask?
We just, we don't really have, we have a count, but for purposes of security, we don't disclose the number of guardians that we have because of just security reasons. So.
But how is it being determined how many guardians goes to a school? Is based on the student population, or?
No, ma'am, but because we got, like I said, we got a law enforcement, a sworn law enforcement on every campus, 2 of them at all of our high schools, except for one high school. The guardians are just determined by, again, just a lot of different things. The response time, their location, the willingness of people at that certain school to do this, because it's not something that's mandated.
Okay.
It's people who are willing to do it.
Yeah, it's an added deterrent.
It's just another layer of protection.
Yes.
Because we know that we see what bad guys bring to these schools when they do try to commit harm, and so this is an extra layer of
Protection.
defending and protecting our students and staff.
Gotcha.
I will add, on a personal note, somehow ended up on a reference list for a guardian for a school. And I can tell you it is a thorough process. I was called, I was asked a lot of questions about this potential guardian who was being background checked to see if they could be a part of the program. It was pretty intense. So I think it's a great thing that they're doing, and they're doing it the right way.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So if there are no more questions related to Marion County Public Schools, excluding the charter schools, I'll move on to the charter schools.
I do have a question going to the class size.
Yes.
Me as a person that work in the corporation, the private world, we know how hard it is to hire people, so I know it's very difficult to find, great quality teachers in order to start meeting the class size criteria, so I know that's real tough. But I'm looking at some of the numbers here. I'm assuming it's your goals where you're not quite hitting those numbers that you want to hit. And Marion County is growing. We know everybody want to move here. I wish they would kind of don't come here, get too big. I like it the way it is, but it's growing, right? My question is, do you see that goal increasing in order to, as of right now, do you think that goal is adequate to keep the class size where it's following the state of Florida law concerning that?
based on my knowledge, and I try to stay in my lane, we are anticipating another 1,000 students next year. That is the estimate for the Marion County Public Schools. So I would say that number will continue to grow. As we grow and we shift, you may be aware that we are opening 2 elementary schools, 2025, also a high school in 2026. And we're also looking at wings for some of our middle schools. So I would say we are growing. The projection is that we will continue to grow. You can just sort of drive around Ocala in some areas. It's unbelievable, the growth and the speed of the growth. And Dr. Gullett, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
Piggybacking on that, how is it determined, for example, the budget for class size reduction out of the referendum money is $18.2 million compared to what for the general fund? How is it determined what is funded which way?
So again, all the new hires are charged to the class size funding. So if you think about last year, we had class size and we had general fund. And it is specific for those core classes. So where we are supposed to be at class size. So we look at last year's numbers, we look at individual schools. Say a school had 100 teachers last year, of which 15 were new teachers. The 15 would have been charged to class size. And then the following year, say they had to hire 5 more teachers, the additional 5 would be charged to class size. So, but basically we're looking to fill positions for the core classes and not just any of the classes that are considered extracurriculum.
So basically, they do 1 year in the fund, and then they move into the general fund as being
No.
staffed? No, okay.
No, it is, again, if I can rephrase that explanation. So just say last year, we had 100 general fund teachers, and we had 20 class size, meaning there were brand-new teachers that were put in the core classrooms at a particular school. The next year, that school needed additional teachers. Those additional teachers, including the new teachers from the last year, would be charged to class size.
Thank you so much for clarifying.
I'd like to piggyback off of that, too. It seems that we're perpetuating a shortage then in our general budget. In fact, it's not improving. It would be getting progressively worse because we're adding all the new ones onto the referendum.
Not really sure I follow that, but I think the whole idea behind class size was because we were out of the class size amendment parameters, and the referendum allowed us to meet that. You may recall, I don't know, 8-9 years ago, the decision was made by our school board to pay the penalty for class size because we could not afford hiring the teachers. So the additional teachers are that we have hired are charged to the referendum because they help reduce the class size. But I do understand what you're saying because this is a 4-year referendum, and we have to come back before our public to ask again and again. This was the second renewal. But I think as we grow as a community, we will see additional units that need to be hired. But hopefully, the offset to that is that we will earn additional funds, our base student allocation. A lot of times, what happens with that is the funding we receive doesn't keep up with the expenditures. You hear us talking about a lot about unfunded mandates. And those are the things that we're dealing with safety. You heard me say our allocation was about $3.8 million, but we're spending in excess of that And we're thankful for the referendum to help us meet those unfunded mandates. But you're exactly right. The cost of everything continues to grow, but our funding, though we are very, very thankful for it, is not keeping up with our expenditures.
Let me interject really quick. And I do appreciate that, and I feel like we're maybe moving into a conversation about general budget items and stuff. I want to just remind our committee, we have a very narrow responsibility here, and that narrow responsibility is we are overseeing that these funds are spent on the things that they're supposed to be spent on. And though I know we're all concerned about the broader thing, it probably just behooves us to stick very tightly to what we're responsible for. Because I'm sure you didn't come prepared to talk about the general budget anyway, so that's something just, I know we all care about it, but we probably should stick to our responsibilities as far as just narrowly making sure that the funds that are being spent on the things. And then we are entrusting, you to allocate those things in ways that are necessary to make your budget work, and then explain to us, those things. So does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate that comment. I guess my main concern is that when it comes up for a vote again, and if it doesn't pass, then we're all in deep water.
Yeah, those are the things that keep them up at night, for sure. So we as a community need to make sure we're doing everything we can do to help them in that. So.
Thank you. So for the current year, fiscal year, our charter schools were added to the referendum. And this is a requirement by Florida statute. So we have worked with them closely, and I can provide some level of detail to you, but as with all charter school expenditures, they provide the information to us, and then at the end of the year, they are audited by a private firm, just like we are, to determine that they have followed the Florida statutes and the rules. So I'll go through the charter schools quickly just to provide you an overview of how they are spending their portion of the referendum. The total budget for the referendum for our charter schools is $1.7 million, and you may wonder how that's allocated. We look at the unweighted FTE of the charter school versus the total weighted FTE of the school district, including the charter school, and then it's just simple math, multiplying that times what we've been allocated in total. So that's how we come up with their allocation. They provided to us how they have budgeted those dollars, and their budget is in alignment with the referendum. So you can see that they are using the same categories that we have. The majority of their funds are spent on professional development and school safety. They don't necessarily have to do it the same way we do. They just have to use the same categories that were approved in the referendum. This particular slide presents to you what they have actually spent. And this is about $1.6 million of their $1.7 million have been actually spent. And that covers Marion Charter, McIntosh Area School, the Ina Colon, also Ocala Charter for the middle as well as the high school. Again, to just go through in a level of detail, for class size, they have spent about $88,000 of their $109,000 budget. For physical education, they've spent about 83.9% of their budget. This includes salary and some purchase services and materials and supplies. Under the category of library media, they've spent about 75% of their budget, and it is mostly salaries and benefits and some consumable materials and supplies. In the area of art, their budget of $55,000 has been spent on salary and benefits as well as consumable supplies, and that represents 84% of their budget. Music is about the same, 84% of their budget has been spent on salary, benefits, materials, and supplies, and their total budget is $103,000. Under professional development, they've spent almost all of their funds that have been allocated, budget of $288,000, and they've spent $583,000. And in safe schools, 91% of their budget has been spent on salary and benefits. Their total budget was $579,000. We're ready for any additional questions or comments. I'll turn it back into the hands of Mr. Osley.
Any other questions?
What is the population of all the charter schools that we're funding with this? I'm presuming there's.
I would have to guess on that, but I'm thinking maybe 600 to 700 students. I know Colon probably is the largest. Well, I know they are the largest. So I'm thinking it's about that, more 700 or 800. But I can certainly add that to the next time we have the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, if there aren't any other questions, and thank you, by the way, for being, for engaging in this and asking great questions and being thoughtful. I really appreciate the board doing that. Other matters, we have talked about future visits. I think we have a date for looking at maybe doing 2 visits in the fall. Thought that trying to maybe jam one in here at the end of the school year. For those of you who are in education, you know how crazy the end of the school year is, and we thought it would be better to maybe push it back. So right now, tentatively, Friday, September 13th. And I don't know if did that go out to the whole board as far as an invite? If it hasn't, it will. And I think that date we're planning to look at a couple of the high school programs. And then we are looking for a date later in the semester to go look at some of the elementary school programs. So we wanted to get those out early so that you can plan around them to try to be there. I think it'll be a really great experience for this board to kind of see in person.
And, excuse me, you said that went out?
If it went out right before this meeting.
Oh, okay.
So if it didn't go out, it landed in my inbox, but that was right before I came here.
Okay.
So if it's not, we'll make sure that you get that invite in your inbox tomorrow and for the 13th, Fridays, the 13th, September 13th.
Do you have the second date?
We do not yet have the second date. We're working on that.
Okay.
Yep.
What's the dates of them?
And date for our 4th meeting. I can't remember. What was our, did we set that yet?
August 22nd?
That'd be our,
Yeah, that's what I have.
okay. Would that be our 3rd meeting on August?
Yes.
Yeah, so we need to, we'll work on getting that date for the 4th meeting then and getting that out to everybody very quickly. And sticking with the regular schedule. Okay. Any other matters or concerns for the board?
I do have a question. So we talked about our job duties. I was wondering, is there something that's in writing talking about our position description? Just because I don't want to overstep, but I also want to do our due diligence. So if maybe I had a little bit of a guidance by that.
Yes, I have in my hand the ICROC Oversight Committee bylaws, and we will send those out as well following this meeting, so everyone has those. They're not lengthy, so they're pretty easy to read, and our responsibilities are outlined pretty clearly in just one of the paragraphs, so it kind of clearly defines it for us. So we'll send those out for sure. It's a great question, actually. Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.